Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Well, what is that? Is that dollars? $1,200?
Below me, Master Banks, this is a very reasonable price for a cake of this magnitude.
A cake, Franck, is made of flour and water. My first car didn't cost $1,200.
Well, welcome to the 90s, Mr. Banks.
What do modern-day weddings and the price of a cake have to do with your retirement? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with offices in Louisville and Bowling Green. Your host, five-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
In the hilarious movie, Father of the Bride, Steve Martin plays the part of George Banks, a loving father to his soon-to-be bride daughter who, along with her mother and the infamous wedding planner Franck, are pulling out all the stops and in the process pulling out Steve Martin's wallet to create the perfect wedding. Now in this particular scene, Steve Martin is shell-shocked to find out the cost of putting on a modern-day wedding when he sees the price of a wedding cake. My, how times have changed. Welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am your host, 401k rollover specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And on today's show, we continue our deep dive into the Worry-Free Retirement process, our unique 5-step process that we use at Tony Walker Financial, which is specifically designed to help savers worry less about money. And today, and actually for the next 2 weeks, we are going to plant ourselves on this second step, the same step of the wedding planning that Steve Martin is going through in that earlier clip, called the assessment. Now the reason we're taking the next 3 weeks to cover in more detail this idea of the assessment phase of the retirement planning process is due to the fact that there really are 3 different phases that you go through in your life, or what we call halves. So we have to assess the situation based on the half of life you're in. We have the first half, and that's the one we'll be talking about today. That's generally between the ages of 21, 22, can be all the way up to 50 or 55. We then gradually move over from the first half to what we call halftime. Now this is the phase I'm in. This is the phase of your life when basically kids are all gone. You begin to shift gears a little bit. You're wanting to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Maybe you're getting all of your debts squared away. Kids are no longer in college, etc., etc. And then we move into the final phase of life, the second half of life, and generally we like to say that starts around age 70. This is the period of time during the second half that we start to spend less and less money, and we then begin to shift our focus on how do we protect these assets, and as we'll see, maybe, just maybe, how to give away our cake now and eat it too, as opposed to what most people did, kind of the old school deal. You just hung on to all this money and one day died and hoped something was left over. Oh, by the way, speaking of weddings, myself, just like Steve Martin, experienced this shell-shocking experience of planning a high cost of a wedding a few years ago when my one and only daughter, Lacey, and her now husband, Trey, decided to get married. Now, the favorite son-in-law, as I like to call him, and Lacey were planning this whole thing along with my wife. And the thing that I didn't realize is, although everybody was asking my opinion of what we should do, what we should purchase, what we should look at, I realized that my job was really just to bring the checkbook. Now, things changed a lot. I realized that very quickly from the time that I was married to my high school sweetheart, Susan, in 1983. Things are a lot different. In fact, the telltale fact of this was when Lacey was getting ready to purchase a wedding dress, keep in mind purchase, and I heard her and Susan talking about the purchase and how much this wedding dress was going to be. Lacey kind of casually asked my wife, "Well, Mom, how much did you pay for your wedding dress?" To which Susan replied, "Pay for a wedding dress? Lacey, my dad was not going to spend money on a wedding dress. Fortunately for me, I had my sister-in-law." So Susan borrows her sister-in-law's wedding dress and, of course, has to give it back after that, which Lacey looked at her like she was aghast of the thought of that. Now, the personal reality for me, my Steve Martin moment, came at the point when I thought I had everything under control. This was my wedding cake moment. And all of a sudden I heard Susan and Lacey talking about the idea of the chairs that were provided at the venue of where we were going to host the wedding reception. You know how you do the wedding thing and then everybody comes and they drink all your drinks and eat all your food and have a big time on you? Well, I'm looking at the pictures and they're talking about renting chairs. And I kind of chime in and say, wait a minute, renting chairs for what? They've got chairs and they're free to us based on the venue. Now, of course, I thought I'd won my argument because they quickly quelled the idea of spending extra money to rent chairs for this venue. Well, it's kind of funny. After the wedding, everybody's having a good time. We mosey on over to the venue that's got the reception. I look around, and guess what I see? That's right, the rented high-cost white chairs that my daughter and Susan agreed on. Again, my wedding cake moment became a reality. So what we're talking about today, folks, is this is no cakewalk. Things have changed a lot since you and I maybe got married to our spouses. Items are so much more expensive. We're going to be talking today about what the challenges are of this younger generation and what they face in terms of expenses. In fact, a new study recently released by Ameriprise Financial reveals that 78% of investors say achieving financial success has been the same or easier for them than it was for their parents. So let's stop there a minute. What they're saying is they interviewed people like me and people older saying, yeah, it's been a little easier for me than my parents. My parents didn't have it that good. My parents were trying to work and slave away, and they basically didn't have a lot of money when they hit retirement, and I would agree with that. I had it easier than my parents. But let's go on to the rest of this survey. The rest of this survey says those same people, over half, think it will be harder for the next generation in their family to feel comfortable financially. So what they're saying is this generation, these first halfers, my daughter, my son-in-law, maybe you're sitting there thinking about that. You're a little nervous about your kids and grandkids. Are they going to be able to retire in comfort and be worry-free like you? This particular study entitled 2018 Retirement Preparedness Study reveals what I've been saying for years, and that is, again, people are not planning for retirement. And it's not just expenses and saving for retirement. Do you realize the amount of student debt out there right now? It's estimated that $1.7 trillion has been borrowed for student debt. In fact, I saw this problem coming years ago, folks. 10 plus years ago, I recorded a documentary that I had hoped would be disseminated into the school system called Say Goodbye to Granddad's Retirement. And in this documentary, we literally followed around college students and tried to get their take on retirement and planning for retirement. And you know what most of them said? This ain't Granddad's retirement. They knew that intuitively of how difficult it was going to be for them. So when we come back, we're going to talk about this whole issue of the first halfers. And you may be sitting there saying, well, Tony, I'm 55, I'm 65, I'm 75. Why do I need to worry about this? You could really help your kids and grandkids with this dilemma. And we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to show you how to have your cake and eat it too, and allow you and your family to enjoy this money now rather than later. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a buyout? Has the company you work for recently moved or been acquired or closed its doors forever? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k to safer territory. Why continue to risk your hard-earned money when you don't have to? Let's meet in person today to discuss your retirement options. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your no-obligation appointment to meet with me in person. Do it today. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. In case you're just now joining us, we're talking about the first half of life, that period of time where we're all just trying to save and take care of our families. And we've also alluded to the fact that many, many young people cannot afford to plan for retirement. We're going to see some studies we did on our own. But here's an example. You can Google articles like this all day long. This came out of 401k Specialist magazine. Look at the headline there. Crushing debt, killing 401k saving. So a lot of young people, because they're so much in debt, they can't fund their 401ks. Not only that, 1 in 4 have taken money out of their 401k prior to retirement to use and enjoy? No, to try to attack debt. Well, we knew this was going on for years, and in fact, in our practice in trying to help savers, we even took our own hard-earned money because we wanted to commission our own study and find out why young people weren't saving and what possibly we could do. The study was done by an independent firm, Lee Stowall and Company. They conducted 1,000 interviews, 1,000 21 to 44-year-olds, and what we asked them to do is go to another market. You know, we're in Kentucky, go down to Atlanta and Charlotte. Let's find out what's going on in those areas. And basically, this was a compilation of what they studied. Let's go to the next slide here. As you can see, we wanted different ages, okay? We wanted different educational backgrounds, ethnicity. We wanted to look at a broad spectrum of just the general public between these ages of 21 and 44. Now, in Atlanta, this was interesting. We asked this question: how much do you personally contribute to any type of retirement plan, whether it be a 401k, IRA, by the way, other? Our next segment, some good stuff coming up. What is that other? You say, well, I thought just a 401k is all I had. No, we got something better than that, folks, coming up. But anyway, look at this. Most of the people are putting in less than $150 a month towards retirement. Folks, if you're sitting there and you've got children, grandchildren, and they're in this age range and they're putting $150 a month away, they can forget it. There's no way they're going to have a worry-free retirement. And then Charlotte, the same thing. We said, let's check out Charlotte. A little different demographic, but we still have the same issue. The majority of the people, again, not putting more than $150 a month away. What else did we find out during this study? Okay. Oh, this was really interesting. We asked the question, have you taken the necessary steps to be financially secure in retirement? This was a whopper. Look at this. 78%, when they were asked that question, would disagree or were neutral. Well, folks, what that tells me is no. The majority of people are not planning for their retirement in this age range. So you say, well, Tony, I'm sitting here, I've had children and grandchildren. What can I do to try to help them? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. And remember, if you've got a 401k, IRA, money languishing in the bank, for instance, I had a client recently. She was in her 70s, lost her husband. We kicked on her annuity for her mailbox money. So between her mailbox money and her Social Security, she even told me, she said, Tony, I got more money and I know what to do with it. And I said, that's good, so you can use and enjoy it. We went to her savings account over here, this money languishing in the bank, had several $100,000. And I said, what if we could just give that away now? Get it out of your estates, get it out of the control potentially of nursing homes, quit paying taxes on it, and give it to your kids and grandkids now to use and enjoy. She said, $200,000, $300,000? I thought we could only give away $15,000 a year. I said, that's incorrect. In the next segment, I'm going to educate you on the proper methods of gifting money, how to have your cake and eat it too, how we can get out of this tax trap that a lot of you are faced with right now, and how we can watch your kids now use and enjoy and plan for their retirement. I'm going to get the whiteboard out. Good stuff coming up. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement.
Win or lose, games are a blast, but playing around with your retirement is serious business. So don't leave your retirement to chance. Get a retirement game plan from well-known retirement specialist Tony Walker. Learn how to be worry-free in retirement with a safe and simple game plan that includes mailbox money for life. To meet in person with Tony, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
On today's show, we've had a lot of fun poking fun at wedding cakes, but in all seriousness, a wedding cake is meant to be used and enjoyed by all those that attend. When you think about a big old wedding cake, you and I can only eat so much. We want to share the cake with everybody, and really money should be that way. And I kind of have this philosophy, let's all enjoy our cake. That's kind of the theme. If you've been blessed with money and you've got money, and you see we've realized these younger folks are struggling, we have answers to help kids and grandkids. We'd help our clients all the time with this. So our motto is, let's all enjoy our cake. Now, what a lot of people don't understand, you can gift money under the current tax laws completely tax-free. Now, currently, that's $15,000 per person. That is per year, folks. So you and Martha could give your grandchild, if you wanted to do this, $30,000 per year. That grandchild pays no taxes on the gift. And again, so that's tax-free. Remember that word, tax-free. The problem is you've got these darn 401ks, TSPs, IRAs, and all of that money's taxable. So many of you come to me and you say, Tony, I got a tax tumor. The next thing I say is, well, that's great. What are you going to do about it? You say nothing. And I say, have you realized that taxes, more than likely, the experts agree, we've been saying this for years, that taxes are probably going to go up in the future? So are you telling me you're not going to do anything with it when we could gift that money now tax-free? Here's how this would work. I've got 3 children. So what we do is we take a taxable distribution and we elect to pay taxes now. Some of you are in a 12% tax bracket. That means for every dollar you take out, you owe the government only 12 cents. Folks, these are the lowest tax brackets we've been in years. And what we might decide to do is give $10,000 in this example to each child, okay? So we obviously have to take out a distribution of $30,000. We're going to have to owe taxes on that. We'll help you with all this. We have staff that does all of this for no cost to figure out these taxes. And then we try to find the money from another source that's generally languishing or not working for you, i.e. a bank instrument or whatever, and pay the tax. Now, this $10,000, if you allow us to do some planning for you and your kids, we can show you, we're going to show you this in a minute, how to pass that $10,000 on every year. And from now on, if they play their cards right, we'll never have to pay taxes again. And you say, how do you do that, Tony? Well, with us in the studio is my favorite son-in-law, an employee here at Tony Walker Financial in charge of our life and long-term care department, Mr. Trey Juergens. You're okay with me after all the fun and poking at the wedding of you and Lacey?
Oh, yeah, I had a great time at that wedding.
Well, thank you. I'm sure you did. Well, real quickly, in the essence of time, Trey, first of all, share your age. One of the things I encouraged you to do, Lacey to do, I encourage all young people to consider this. Explain this particular concept to our audience.
Yeah, so the idea of gifting and putting money in a tax-free position forever, this is something we started doing before you ever thought of gifting to us, but the idea of this is to keep the money tax-free forever. So my age right now, I'm 29. I'm certainly in the first half of life. My policy I took out a few years ago when I was 27. So already in the 3rd year of this policy, the cash value has already grown to $9,731. So I've already got half my money I've put into this in premiums available tax-free if I need it. And better yet, if something happened to me, Lacey and Scout and the baby on the way would receive a tax-free check for $646,836. So pretty good.
And that type of policy, that overfunded type of policy, unlike any other insurance you can think of, that never goes up. That premium stays level from now on.
Correct.
It can never go up.
Correct. In this policy, it actually goes down. So we can get into that in more detail if someone wants to see a personal example of how this might fit. We can fast forward in my example. In year 10 of this policy, just paying $500 a month, year 10 cash value, I've got $56,581. So in that circumstance, I could go into my policy, borrow from my policy, pay myself back.
Wait a minute, you'd never have to thank a banker.
Yeah,
no, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So in that case, yeah, I've got that money, that's my money, accessible. I can dip into that if need be. If not, great, let it keep rolling. So in that same...
And all the while, we haven't paid any taxes on this,
Not
right?
at all,
Okay.
not at all. So same thing, the end of that 10 years, that's $754,247. So it's keep...
Of death benefit.
Correct. So that keeps on rolling. Fast forward quite a while, we'll go to age 50. That's the 23rd year of my policy. 23rd year, that's $188,000 of accessible cash value. The death benefit at that point, it does drop back down. There's a term rider on this policy. Again, we can get more into those details. It does drop back down to $675,862. But fast forward again, age 65, getting into retirement age, I'll have accessible, tax-free, $448,946. All of that I can dip into if need be, and the death benefit has climbed back up to $879,081.
And the thing I commend you for this, Trey, is obviously I have an interest in this because I have my daughter and now grandchildren involved, and the planning you're doing and the ability to know that we have no risk with that, we have no taxes on it if you handle it properly. And then eventually, I know that you're going to pass away. This is money that can continue on to the next generation tax-free. So what would be the best thing for people to do, whether they're young, old, it doesn't matter. If they're looking at this for their kids, grandkids, or maybe there's somebody your age watching this now, how can we help them?
Yeah, the easiest way is to reach out to me via email. It's some way I can send you an illustration kind of specific to your example. This example is not going to fit everybody, but I'd be happy to run something for free. You can send me an email to Trey, T-R-E-Y, at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and I'd be happy to run something for you. Kind of learn a little bit more about your specific situation, and I'll see how this can best apply.
Okay, so folks, take advantage of the opportunity to talk to Trey. We would love to talk to you about any of these situations regarding yourself and or your children and grandchildren. You've got a choice to deal with these taxes now, and these are some great strategies, very simple strategies, very safe strategies that you can take advantage of. Well, when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Bible, and does it have anything to say about debt and also taking care of our kids and grandkids? It sure does. Trey, you hang on. I'm going to ask you to skedaddle, and I'm going to grab me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Tired of the financial world chasing after your money? Dinner seminar invitations? Annoying pop-up ads on your computer from out-of-state advisors? It all adds up to confusion. There is a better way. Meet in person with nationally recognized retirement specialist Tony Walker. Tony's personal one-on-one approach has helped thousands of savers worry less about money, and best of all, Tony's right in our own backyard. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Make the short drive to meet in person with Tony now. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, thrift savings account, 403b, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 33 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement with the money missionary himself, Tony Walker.
Years ago, when I was in my 20s and just married with our first child, I was really behind the 8 ball on my money. So I approached a banker friend of mine. Now again, remember, this was back in the 80s. Folks, if you're just now joining us, we're talking about life in the 70s and 80s versus young kids now. But anyway, I approached a banker friend of mine who very much trusted me, and I talked to him about my plight and how I needed $25,000. Now, I didn't have any collateral to give him, and he looked at me and he said, I tell you what, Tony, I know you, I trust you, I'll loan you the money. I couldn't believe he did it. I was so relieved, and I looked at him and I was walking out of the bank. I naturally thanked him over and over, and I kept thanking him for it. And he looked at me real serious, and he said, Tony, never thank a banker. In Charles Spurgeon's masterful book, Practical Wisdom, or Plain Advice for Plain People, that's me, Spurgeon talks about the secrets to life and the many mistakes we humans make to foul things up. In speaking of this issue on debt, something that has dogged human beings since the time we learned to borrow stuff from other people, Spurgeon's book of Practical Wisdom says the following: An honest man thinks a purse full of other people's money to be worse than an empty one. Among many great quotes on debt found in Spurgeon's book, this is another good one. Look at this one. Never borrow from someone today else that you could not afford to pay back tomorrow. Now think about that one. What I think Spurgeon is trying to teach us is that borrowed money is not our money. When we borrow or use someone else's money to purchase something today, we have created an obligation in the future that does not go away. And I think we tend to forget that. Whether you're borrowing money from someone else or from a banker, you're basically paying for something now with money you do not have, and that money comes with a cost. Not only is the simple pressure and stress to have to pay somebody back, but you also lose interest on the money you could have been making. You know, one of the main themes in the Bible, and it runs throughout the Bible, is simply this: always count the cost. You know, everything we do, every decision we make will come with some sort of cost. Now, that cost could be minimal, but there's still a cost. It could be a cost of your money, a cost of your time, a cost to your family, a cost to your reputation, a cost to your health. The key to my life and your life, friend, is to assess your situation before incurring the cost. And you might be saying, well, Tony, little do you know, I'm fine financially. I got my house in order. I'm debt-free. And as far as those darn kids are concerned, let them fend for themselves. That's what I had to do. Now, you may be saying that, but you also need to consider what Scripture says about taking care of our kids and grandkids. In fact, Aaron, let's go to 1 Timothy 3:5, and it simply says this, that if a man does not know how to manage his own household, how will he take care of the church of God? Now, many of you might be saying, Tony, isn't that talking about the church? Well, the way I see it is my obligation to manage my household, and I don't think that stops when my kids leave the household. I think that's just the beginning. Now, you can make your own choices in life, but here's what I've decided to do. I'm going to take my hard-earned money now, and I want to watch my kids use and enjoy it now. I'm going to take advantage of the tax laws now. I'm also get to watch these kids to see how they're going to handle it now. Because let's face it, when you die, folks, there's no do-overs. They're going to get the money. The nursing homes are going to get the money. The government's going to get the money. Somebody's going to get that money. So why not do things that you can control your money now and allow your household to use and enjoy it now? You may be sitting there saying, Tony, I don't have a financial advisor, or my financial advisor never talks about stuff like this. All they seem to want to talk about is my money and how to invest it and use it. How come you seem so passionate about helping savers? Well, that's just the point, folks. God has encompassed us to think about these things. He's made it my mission to help savers worry less about money, and it's more than just about the money. It's more than just about investing it. Is it how we're going to use and enjoy and protect this money, not only now, but for our kids and grandkids. So if you'd like to have a discussion about that, if we can help you, why don't you just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. There is no cost or obligation to do so, and here's how this is going to work. When you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click on that Let's Get Started button, that information is confidentially sent to our offices. We will immediately call you back and arrange for either a phone call with me personally, or if it warrants us meeting in person, we will meet at either our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky offices. For those of you over in Lexington on WLEX TV, make the short drive to Louisville, Kentucky. You'll be glad you did. Well, next week we're going to be back in the assessment situation, but we're going to be talking about you half-timers out there. That's the people that are thinking about retiring, getting ready to retire, and how do you properly assess your situation before you retire? We'll look forward to seeing you next week on the Worry-Free Retirement, but you remember, between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.
Thank you for watching the Worry-Free Retirement with Tony Walker. If you need a safe and simple game plan for your retirement, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with Tony.